What's up, everybody? It's me, Crosspatch. I am back again at the Pittsburgh Steelers practice facility, and in today's video I'm going to talk about the best Madden 21 defensive playbook for 3-4 personnel. In my opinion, of course. This playbook is versatile, it has a bunch of usable formations for every situation, and has one formation that you will only find in this playbook. So if you run a 3-4 team, or if you're looking to transition to a 3-4 defense, this is a playbook you'll want to check out. And now is the time for the plot twist of this video. It's not the Steelers' defensive playbook. The Steelers' defensive playbook is fine. It has a lot of good stuff in it. But ultimately, for me at least, there are just too many formations I'm never going to use. And so the defensive playbook we're going to look at today is the Chicago Bears defensive playbook. And so we have the Bears here in Pittsburgh as our guests to help us demonstrate this. And I'm going to try to be concise as we go through this because there's a lot to go over. Before we get started, just a reminder that if you find this video helpful, educational, or entertaining, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel or hit the like button. It's free to you and it really helps my channel grow so I can keep on bringing you Madden content like this. So the first thing I want to do here is I want to take a look at the depth chart. And this is going to be important for a couple of reasons you'll see later on. So I just want to show you, at left outside linebacker I've got Khalil Mack. At right outside linebacker here I've got Robert Quinn. But I changed my pass rushers here. At rush left in, I'm taking Mack out, I'm putting Vaughters in. At rush right in, I'm taking Quinn out. I'm putting Mingo in. Okay, so I just want you to see as we go through the personnel so that you can see who is where. And like I said, you'll see in a moment why that's important. So let's start looking at some plays here. 3-4 defensive playbook. 3-4 odd to me is the most important play, defensive formation in the game if you run a 3-4 defense. This is sort of like the base defense you're going to come out of. And we'll just choose 3-4 Sky here. And we will get our offense set up. For the sake of illustration, we're not going to run any plays. So you can see what 3-4 odd looks like. It's a very straightforward defense. And the good thing about it is you've got your nose tackle and your defensive tackles playing head up on offensive linemen. Right, so your nose tackle is playing two gap technique here on the center. Same thing with your tackles, and you can leave them like that if you want. I like to either shift to the strong side of the formation like this, or pinch them in. Urban is not cooperating. There we go. So that's what it looks like to pinch them in. You can pinch the linebackers as well. So that sort of tightens things up. This is a very strong formation against the run, this 3-4 odd. And we look at some of the plays in this formation. You know, you've got your basic stuff like your cover 3s, Tampa 2, cover 1s, robber, that kind of thing. Two plays that I really like here, and they're almost identical. It's just swapping responsibilities. Pinch buck 0. So in this you've got cover 0, man blitz, your weak side linebacker on the inside is going to be coming as well as your outside linebackers. And then pinch Mike 0. So that's just swapping the responsibilities of the inside linebackers. Mike is your strong side middle linebacker. Buck is your weak side middle linebacker. So both of those are pretty much the same play. It's just the difference of assignments of who's blitzing from the inside linebacker position. So I like both of those plays because they're very strong against the run. You're getting your outside linebackers upfield, and they provide a really strong blitz in passing situations. So I'll call that on first down. I'll call it on anytime the offense is in like 2 tight ends or has a fullback on the field, something like that. I'll come out with something like that to try to get pressure on the quarterback. But otherwise, pretty simple, basic coverages, whether you like to play cover 3 or cover 2 or Tampa 2 or whatever you like. 2-man under, all that stuff. That's pretty much the basic defense for me, the 3-4 odd. Um, Here's a formation, 3-4 Predator, that you will only find in the Bears playbook. So I really like this as well. And again, we're just going to set it up with a basic cover 3 for now. We'll call it a simple little play with our offense. One where we can clearly see where the strong side is here. And so this is why I was kind of saying we want to know who's where, like as far as outside linebackers, right? So if you remember, I said Khalil Mack is my left outside linebacker, and Robert Quinn is my right outside linebacker. But you can see here they're flipped. Okay? So when you call this Predator, the first thing to realize is your left outside linebacker is always going to be on the weak side of the formation. Your right outside linebacker is going to be on the strong side of the formation. Now, why? I don't know. But that's just how it's set up. And you can see that your backside linebacker here, oops, I'm moving Mac around. You can see your backside linebacker here is in a 3-point stance. And you know, if you have you know, the automatic play flip on, that's going to take care of it for you as you come up to the line. And even if you switch these guys once you come up here, they kind of just, like Matt comes over here, but they don't really end up whether you think they would. So you probably don't want to flip the play anyway. But you can see, like, if we come up to the line in the other way, with a different strong side. So we're going to call this play exactly the same as we did. Predator, cover 3. And we're going to call the same formation for the offense, but we are going to flip them, so the strong side is the other way. And you can see this time, Quinn is on the other side, and Mac is on the left side where he typically would be with a 3-4 look. So that's just something to be aware of. Now, again, why that is, who knows? But, you know, it's something to be aware of. And you'll notice the defensive line does shift to the strong side. And your weak side linebacker will be in a 3-point stance. So your strong side linebacker is always going to be on 2 feet in this set. And your weak side linebacker is going to be in a 3-point stance. So this gives you sort of an overshift 4-3 look coming out of a 3-4 personnel. And that's one of the reasons I like this. I will use this, again, on first down. I'll use it on the goal line or short yardage in cases where, you know, that they're not coming out with a really heavy package with 3 tight ends or something like that. And again, you can do the same kind of shifts. You can pinch, you can shift strong, you can shift weak. You know, however you want to shift the defensive line, you've got options there. But this is just a nice variation of the 3-4. You know, they call this in a lot of defenses like a jack linebacker. It's sort of a hybrid between a defensive end and an outside linebacker. So this is just a nice look to mix things up. And, you know, some of the plays you've got coming out of that. Let's go, guys. The basic stuff, once again, you got your basic cover 1, you've got cover 3, all these different blitzes. And again, you've got a pinch buck 0, same as with the 3-4 odd. So that's something I like to call just to get a lot of pressure and be strong against the run. You know, so however you like to call your coverages, you'll have different options with that. Third, we'll go over Cub a little bit, and you probably are familiar with Cub. The one thing I want to note about Cub is, and we'll just come up to the line here and take a look. What I hate about Cub is this distance between these linebackers. So what I'll typically do, oops, not that, is pinch these linebackers. So that we have a little bit of, you know, sort of closed up distance between them. I'm going to recall this. I don't think they shifted the way I wanted them to. think because I fiddled with them, they didn't shift right. So there we go. That's what we want them to do. We want the inside linebackers to come in like that, right? So again, you can still kind of mess with your defensive line if you want to, but the important thing is getting these linebackers, like we don't want them out here, you know, especially if the defensive front is spread out. Like you've got a big gap right in the middle of the field there that only the nose tackle is responsible for. So we don't want that. We want to get this closed up a little bit. And again, they're not listening to me because I fiddled with them. But if you pinch your linebackers, they're going to come in like this. That's a better look out of Cub, I think. And you know, I won't spend too much time on Cub, but you can kind of take a look at the different blitzes you have coming out of it. Outside linebacker blitz cover 1 is one I like. Gap press, sting pinch. You know, we've got a lot of aggressive plays coming out of Cub, but just be aware of those linebacker alignments. And you may have a different philosophy, I don't know, but I don't like them spread out like that so much, so I'll try to pinch them in. And I won't go over this one much at all here. You've got over as well. You know, that's just a different shift to the defensive line. You know, it's sort of something I don't use very much, but it's there if you just want to mix things up a little bit. So, even though this is a 3-4 playbook, we've got a 4-3 set. And this is actually a little bit of a strange 4-3. It's a even 6-1, they're calling it. So you can see what this gives us here. Everybody's way spread out. So you've got basically 6 kind of linemen. And if you want to use it like that, you can. What I like to do is bring these linebackers in to give it a little bit more of a traditional 4-3 look. So again, this is just something I'll mix in now and then. It's nice to be able to change up personnel. Like in this case, we're getting our number 2 inside linebacker a little bit of a rest. And we're getting our number 2 defensive tackle into the game. So that's kind of nice just to give guys a breather now and then. And we'll do the same thing with our nickel I'm going to show you in a minute. So, yeah, this is just something you can use. And, you know, you can shift the defensive line and everything just like before. Pinch them and shift them strong or weak. This is a set I don't really like so much, so I won't do this. But I might shift them like, you know, shift them to the strong side, bring the linebackers in. This is a pretty good defense against the run, and it's got some good, if you look through the play calling, it's got a couple of good blitzes in there. But, yeah, if you want to leave those linebackers spread out like that, that's up to you. But I like to bring them in and, you know, get them a little bit more protected behind the defensive linemen. So that's about it with our heavier sets, right? So, you know, these are sets you'll want to use on first down, on short yardage, on medium yardage, anytime the offense comes out looking like they're, you know, got a fullback in the game or 2 tight ends or a tight end and a fullback, fewer than 3 wide receivers. Those are the cases where I'm going to use those sets that we've gone over. The nickel formation, and this is one of the places where I feel like this playbook really sets itself apart from the Steelers playbook. Both of them have this 3-5 will, 3-3-5 will, which I really like. And again, we'll take a look at this as far as personnel.
Here we go, Blue 30.
So look again here. I've got Quinn. Remember, he was my right outside linebacker. And then I've got Vaughters in here. He was my my rush left end. Right? So when you call this 3-3-5, it's a, you know, it's not a 2-4, it's a 3-3, right? So they're going to replace one of your linebackers with one of your rush linebackers. Now, if you have the same guys, in most of my franchises, I have the same guys as my outside linebackers as my rush linebacker or rush ends. So in those cases, it doesn't really matter, right? But if you do have different guys in those roles, it's something to be aware of. So when you call a 3-3-5, you're going to get your right outside linebacker in the game and your rush left end on the outsides here. And that's just how the how the set is. You have an option here. Well, I guess at both of these linebackers, but particularly this weak side linebacker, a lot of people like to put a safety in here. I like to leave my number 2 middle linebacker in here, especially if he has a little bit of speed. And the reason for that is because I call, even though there's a whole bunch of 3-4 and that 4-3 set that I went through, I typically call this nickel more than anything. And I want a run stopper here in this position, right? Trevathan. He's not as fast as a safety I could put in there, but I call a lot of blitzes out of this. So more often than not, he is matched up on a running back or he is blitzing. So I don't really have to worry too much about him getting mismatched against a wide receiver. And that's kind of the concern with this weak side linebacker in the nickel. And again, for shifts, you can do, if you think a run is coming, I'll tighten it up like this. If it's an obvious passing situation and they motion the back out of the backfield, you can spread things out. But this 3-3-5 is a really good sort of multi-purpose formation, especially if you keep this keep a weak side linebacker, an actual linebacker in this weak side spot here. And you don't have to if you have a safety you feel comfortable in that situation, coming up to stop the run like a backup safety. Nothing wrong with that either. That's just how I like to do it. And again, this is giving our nose tackle a breather, right? So this gets especially if you have the same guys as the rush linebackers or rush defensive ends as you do your outside linebackers. This is going to give your nose tackle a break, give him a breather, and get some other personnel in the game. Get your nickel guy here in the game, right? So that's my main defense against the pass. There's another good nickel formation in this playbook. And that's 3-3-5 wide. So in this situation, your outside rushers here are your outside linebackers. So you don't have to worry about personnel getting swapped here. I messed with Urban here. Now he's not going to go where I want him to go. Your weak side linebacker is out of the game, and the nickel is in the game, and your middle linebacker is in this position. So this is a really good sort of hyper-aggressive blitz formation, right? Because you've got, if you take a look, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys on the line, and I've got my middle linebacker here, right? So I can call a blitz from this formation, and they are basically either forced to keep a tight end or a running back in here to account for us, or it's a sack. I mean, they don't have enough guys to block us. I'd kind of do that. I call a lot of aggressive blitzes that leave the secondary in man coverage. It's up to you how you want to play it. But, to me, this is a very good defense for a thing like that. This 3-3-5 wide. And we'll just take a quick look at some of the plays out of that. So again, your basic cover 3s and everything. And here's a Mike Blitz Zero. That's exactly what I'm talking about. We've got, basically 5 guys across the front there that you've got 5 linemen, offensive linemen, who are going to have to account for. And you've got a Mike linebacker coming, who they are either going to have to account for or he's going to be running free. So, doesn't work all the time, but you can kind of catch them off guard every now and then, and you end up with a guy running free at the quarterback. And finally, we're going to go over a dime formation. And, dime, you think, it's all about the same, right? But this is called Rush in the playbook, Dime Rush. And this gives me 4 rushers here. And that I like better than all these other dimes with the 1 lineman, you know, that kind of thing. And that's one of the things I don't like about the Steelers playbook, is I don't have this kind of formation in it. And so we'll take a look at it, and I'll point out a couple of things about it that I like compared to other dime formations and some of the other playbooks. So first thing to be aware of is you've got your rush ends here, right? So these are not your outside linebackers, these are your rush ends, whoever you have in that spot in your playbook. The other thing is, I've got corners here in these slot positions. Particularly with the Steelers playbook, there's no way to get 4 cornerbacks on the field at the same time. And I find that very frustrating. So that's another thing I really like about this dime rush formation. Like, this is what I want out of a nickel, right? I want my 2 safeties. I want my 2 starting corners here, Johnson and Fuller. And then I want 2 nickel corners. I mean, one of them, I guess, technically be a dime corner, right? But I want my 2 other corners on the field here. Because who are these guys going to be covering, right? If I'm calling this presumably, obviously the Steelers here are in a heavy set, or heavy-ish set. But I'm going to be calling this when the offense is in a passing situation, right? So 3 wide, 4 wide. So if they come out with 4 wide, and I want to match up a defensive back on one of these slot receivers that they have, I want a corner, right? I don't want to put a safety against the slot receiver if I can help it. So that's what I like about this. You know, and again, you got different shifts you can do with the defensive line. The same basic stuff. And other than that, this is a pretty basic playbook otherwise, with the prevent and the goal line and all that stuff. But there are those few things that I like about it. I like the 4-3. I like that that's thrown in there so you can have a little variation. I love this Predator set, which is unique to the Bears playbook. I like that I have 2 functional nickel sets that I can use that don't put 2 down linemen. I want at least 3 pass rushers on the defensive line here, plus my linebackers. And I like this dime set that gives me the nickels on the field, the 2 corners on the field, plus 4 pass rushers on the defensive line. So that's about it. That's the Bears playbook. In my opinion, the best 3-4 personnel playbook in Madden. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button if you found it useful. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Or if you have any comments, let me know in the comments. But that's about it. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you next practice.